Chris, are you saying you don't respect me?
8 WWE wrestlers Brock Lesnar hated working with. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on Wrestlelamia XL. Number 1. Matt Hardy. And for the most, Matt Hardy actually had a positive working relationship with everyone in WWE. However, when it came to Brock Lesnar, the two had some issues in the ring. According to Hardy on his podcast, one time he was booked to deliver a chair shot to Lesnar and he split Lesnar's head open, and this naturally enraged him.
When I came out, and I was running as hard as I could, and I swung that chair as hard as I could anyway, because I was going to lay into him. And I caught him with the lip of the chair in the back of the head, and I split his head open to the skull. It was brutal. And I remember coming to the back, and I remember telling Shannon, like, I fucked him up. He is not going to be happy. I got to go out here 12 minutes with Brock Lesnar. I know he wants to kill me. I just remember him coming back through Gorilla. He was like, what the fuck? What the fuck, man?
Hardy would even state that Lesnar was cocky backstage, which isn't something that Lesnar was known for. Whilst the two without a doubt had issues, they were able to put their bad blood aside whenever they worked together in WWE. Number 2. Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, Shinsuke Nakamura vs Brock Lesnar should have been a huge match on paper. Whilst it was indeed a huge draw in Japan, Nakamura had a terrible experience working with Lesnar. According to Nakamura in his King of Strong Style book, Lesnar didn't have any respect for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he was looking down at Japanese people. That match was seriously rough. First, Lesnar was saying all this stuff about how he respected New Japan, but it felt to me like that was just for show, that he really didn't respect the promotion. Like somewhere he was looking down on Japanese people. I lost the match, and that was the first time I cried at pro wrestling after a match. It was the main event at the Tokyo Dome. This was a pretty hollowed stage, and I knew I hadn't fought the way I imagined I would, and there was like this temperature difference between Lesnar and me. I didn't get the sense he felt any love for pro wrestling. It felt like he was just doing his job. Lesnar didn't necessarily have a personal issue with Nakamura, it was more of the case that he was completely over pro wrestling at this point. Lesnar saw his work in New Japan as a quick way to make money and sent a clear message to Vince McMahon following his WWE exit. Lesnar clearly wasn't in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the love of the game, and this is likely why his behavior rubbed Nakamura the wrong way. The two would interact in WWE, but they never had a featured 1v1 matchup. This would have been interesting to see in a WWE setting, as they could have even played off their prior bad blood. Number 3. Hardcore Holly. Hardcore Holly had his neck broken during a featured match with Brock Lesnar on SmackDown in 2002. It was alleged that Holly was sandbagging Lesnar, and this resulted in Lesnar dropping Holly right on his head following a powerbomb. But once Holly got the all clear to return, WWE would book a main event program between the two. However, fans had little to no interest in this, as the difference in star power was apparent, and Holly had barely broken into the mid-card scene during his WWE run, never mind the main event picture. According to Lesnar in his autobiography, he was livid with working with Holly, and he acknowledged the feud wasn't a draw. Now I have to travel all the way to South Africa to work with Bob Holly? Could anyone please tell me why? I knew no one would pay to see the match. Since I'm not really needed, give me some time off. I really needed the break by this time, but John Laurinaitis told me how much I'm needed on the card. Against Bob Holly? Are you shitting me? Holly has changed his tune when it came to Lesnar over the years, and he even labeled him as a good friend back in 2018. Number 4. Braun Strowman. In 2017, Brock Lesnar was assigned to work with Braun Strowman. This was an interesting pairing as Strowman was rather inexperienced and Lesnar wasn't established for working well with inexperienced wrestlers. For the most part, their early matches and segments were received well. They were booked rather formulaic in nature, but a feud between the two men didn't exactly need to be a Kurt Angle vs Eddie Guerrero style of caliber to work effectively. The problem was that Strowman often didn't know his own strength, and this caused issues between the two men. Strowman was known for being somewhat stiff in the ring, and he wasn't acting in this way intentionally, it was just Strowman getting carried away in the match. When Strowman once again got carried away at the 2018 Rumble, Lesnar had had enough of his antics and decided to punch him legitimately in the head. Seeing as Lesnar and remains one of the toughest men on the planet, this must have been a huge wake-up call that Strowman needed. Whilst Lesnar has never reacted like this in a match before, it was said that it didn't completely shatter the working relationship between the two. They were able to work together on a number of occasions following the Rumble incident, and it was ultimately a harsh lesson for Strowman to learn. When the two got to the backstage area, they would actually laugh about the situation. As Brock told in an interview with TalkSport, we laughed about it afterwards. It is what it is. We got to the back and I said, hey, my bad. And I said the same thing and we went about our business. We're both grown-ups, we both knew what we were getting into, and at the end of the day, we're both very dominant males and neither of us wants to give an inch. So in the end, we took an inch from each other. Working with Brock, I go in with the mentality that it's a real fight. You have to. I remember the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago. I got a little ants in my pants, so did he, and we threw some heavy hitters at each other and carried on from there. Let's face it, Brock's one of the baddest human beings on the planet, and I enjoy it. I like the physical aspect of it. I didn't get into this thinking it was water polo or tennis or anything like that. I knew this was a full contact sport, and when you're in the ring with Brock Lesnar, it is full contact. Ask anybody that's worked with him. Brock brings a fight, and that's why people pay money to see him. And the next time the two would tussle in the ring together was at Crown Jewel, and we're pretty sure that Braun Strowman had learned his lesson and calmed down. Number 5. Chris Jericho. Brock Lesnar and Chris Jericho never had a 1v1 matchup, and the likely reason for this is that the two aren't exactly best friends behind the scenes. News relating to issues between the two surfaced following SummerSlam in 2016, and it was a news story that dominated headlines and discourse online. The 2016 SummerSlam main event saw Lesnar take on Randy Orton. Infamously, the match saw Lesnar brutalize Orton with stiff strikes to close out the match. Orton would be left bloodied and battered in the ring, and there was some concern that Lesnar had gone off script and had decided to lay into Orton for real. Chris Jericho was outraged by Lesnar's stiff elbows, and he thought that Lesnar was shooting on the WWE legend and someone he considered to be a legitimate close friend. Jericho demanded answers backstage, and when he wasn't getting a straight answer, he confronted Lesnar as soon as he came through the curtain. Jericho and Lesnar had a heated verbal confrontation before Jericho was informed that it was all a part of the script for the match, and everything went ahead as planned. According to a Fightful Select report at the time, the situation was so heated that employees were glad that Lesnar was taking a leave of absence following the matchup. Lesnar hadn't been disliked by any means backstage, but multiple people said that this situation left employees all too happy to see him disappearing for a few months. Jericho will not face any disciplinary action for the situation, and he was already well liked backstage. The feeling among talents is that this was Jericho wanting business to be done the right way and wanting to make sure that talent was protected. It's not expected that WWE will do anything of this nature again unless certain people are made aware beforehand to prevent things like this from going down again. In 2022, Jericho confirmed the validity of the rumors that Lesnar used a homophobic slur towards him, so it's likely that the bad blood between the two is still present. Number 6. Jinder Mahal. Brock Lesnar took one look at the creative plans for Survivor Series 2017 and pretty much said no thanks. Lesnar was being booked to face Jinder Mahal in a champion versus champion contest, and with Mahal being a jobber literally months before, Lesnar likely believed that it was beneath him to face Mahal. WWE would then pivot and they would decide to have AJ Styles dethrone Mahal to win the WWE title and subsequently face Lesnar at Survivor Series. Whilst this was a case of Lesnar flexing his creative power backstage, it was definitely the right call. Lesnar vs AJ was a 5-star classic, and their styles meshed perfectly in the ring together. Now, according to Mahal himself during an interview with Chris Van Vliet, it may have not been the case that Lesnar refused to work with him, it may have been that Lesnar realized that him versus AJ was the better match option.
Obviously, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, right? And the headline came out, Brock Lesnar refused to work with Jinder. I don't think he refused. I just think he pitched for a match with AJ because stylistically, it's a much better match. Me and Brock are both heels. Who's going to put heat on who? It was going to be a flat match, right? It would have just been him suplexing me a bunch of times, maybe Singh Bros get involved. But the match he had with AJ was phenomenal.
It was.
No pun intended.
Fans often have to wonder what the Lesnar vs Mahal match would have looked like, as Mahal is indeed correct. It would have been a heel versus heel match, and the dynamic wouldn't have worked. Number 7. Matt Riddle. For the longest time in WWE, it was common knowledge that Brock Lesnar wanted absolutely nothing to do with Matt Riddle. Lesnar wasn't a fan of Riddle running his mouth, and he even told Riddle directly that they would never work together. During an interview on Signed by Superstars, Riddle claimed that he was initially told he would win the 2022 Royal Rumble, but then Lesnar scrapped the idea and insisted he should win instead.
I was told at one point, I was going to win the Rumble and everything else, and then, Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar because somebody came in and hit him with the belt or what have you. Then Brock came in, didn't want to do business with everybody, said he was winning, and then he won. And none of the producers, nobody stood up to him and they let him do it.
Right.
I didn't either, I'm like...
The claims of Riddle being booked to win the Rumble have never been verified. However, Lesnar's 2022 win did certainly come out of nowhere. The rumors of the fact that he never liked Riddle also strengthened at the 2022 Elimination Chamber. Both stars were involved in the WWE Championship Chamber match, and if you notice Lesnar during his entrance, he had a face-off with everyone who was in the pod, with the exception of Matt Riddle. In fact, he completely ignored Riddle as he was walking by him. And number 8, Dean Ambrose. Fans were elated when Dean Ambrose vs Brock Lesnar was announced for Wrestlemania 32. The match would be a no-holds-barred matchup, and fans collectively hoped for a throwback-style match that could incorporate hardcore elements and potentially even bloodshed. Sadly, the match was incredibly lackluster, and some would say it's one of the most disappointing matches in WrestleMania history. According to Ambrose, Lesnar shot down every fun creative idea he had for the match, and Lesnar just wanted to do generic things that fans would see in a standard no DQ matchup. The former WWE champion would go on to call Lesnar lazy, which definitely ruffles some feathers within WWE. Should Ambrose have shared these comments publicly? Well, that's up for debate, but the former WWE champion has never been one to shy away when it comes to his opinions. But Paul Heyman would clap back at Ambrose and decided to take aim at Ambrose's less than enthusiastic appearance on the Stone Cold podcast. Whilst Heyman usually has his way with words, fans firmly decided to side with Ambrose, as Ambrose was right. The match was a total letdown and didn't warrant a space on the WrestleMania 32 card. Ambrose and Lesnar would never have a singles match against each other again, which was no doubt Lesnar's executive call. But there you have it, folks. 8 wrestlers Brock Lesnar hated working with in WWE. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.